the option to play first, and we'll be underway here momentarily.
I believe we actually had Joe on camera round 3 losing.
We did.
That was our first feature match.
It was only loss. Only loss. He would win the rest. He's going to start off with the island.
Of course, now with Back to Basics in the list, Joe also does not have a Caracas, which is an important tool.
Your thoughts on the card being cast right now?
Oh, it's almost like this might inform his decision-making at no cost.
Brainstorm, Snapcaster Mage.
What are we even talking about here?
Back to Basics. Along with a whole bunch of fetch lands. He's got a Marsh Flats, a Strand, and a Delta.
Now, of course, Adam doesn't have full agency to do whatever he wants because Joe has a Brainstorm here, which muddies the information up a little bit, but he knows that as it currently stands, his hand does not have Force of Will. So.
He could just gun it. He could just go for it on turn 1 if he wants to.
Just go for it.
Yeah, just land, pedal, show and tell. I dare you to draw Force of Will. That could be a thing that does happen here.
I mean, he has a pedal in his hand. He's thumbing. I mean, I don't know if he's planning on going ballistic this turn.
Well, I know he's going to 17. I don't know if he's going to go ballistic, but we're going to see. He also knows he doesn't have to worry about Wasteland, too, which is pretty nice. He does have to worry about the Back to Basics in hand, so he's probably going to search out a basic, get himself an island here.
I suspect our Sneak and Show pilot here can pilot the game in such a way to minimize the damage that Back to Basics could potentially do.
Especially because he knows that it's in his hand from Gitaxian Probe.
One would hope he would be able to circumvent Back to Basics.
So there is an island. Fronsee's going to go down to 17. 1 from the fetch, 2 from the probe. I think he's got, oh boy. I think he might have 2 pedals. Okay, so he's just going to sacrifice now and pass the turn back. Blue to Delta from Bernal. After drawing planes, passes it back.
I would suspect here that Joe is going to really want to shuffle away this Back to Basics and look for a Force of Will.
Oh, a couple cards drawn. Swords of Plowshares, Supreme Verdict, and I think a Brainstorm among them.
Joe's Game 1 matchup against combo decks is not very good. I feel confident saying it at this point.
I'm inclined to agree with you. It does not seem great. Again, he is gearing himself towards beating fair decks. Let's say he gets through this match, and he plays against the other Esper Stoneblade deck. I think
he's a huge favorite.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's what he wants to have happen. He does not want to play against Reanimator in the finals, let alone this matchup, I think. So we see Bernal's going to resolve this here. Going to put a couple cards on top, actually holding on to Back to Basics. Maybe going to try to get you. Going to sacrifice this here Polluted Delta. Get another island out of the deck. And Joe says, all right, Adam, your Brainstorm does resolve end of turn. City of Traders added to the hand, among others.
You've seen Emrakul, Gristlebrand. I mean, appears to have Show and Tell in hand.
Yeah,
this
it does.
Is a Force of Will backup. I mean, he's going to be firing this off.
This is what we like to call an average draw. That's all. So, Bernal going to finish shuffling here.
Well, even with a hand this good, it would be possible that he would not still be able to act with full confidence, except he knows Joe's hand.
Well, look, Joe's hand changed a little bit because of that Brainstorm, okay?
That's true. Better be 3 Force of Wills up there.
Mr. Gitaxian Probe. See a draw here. City of Traders, and he can actually afford to play around Spell Pierce too. So there's a pedal. That's a City of Traders. This is a Show and Tell. Bernal. Brainstorm. Fingers crossed. See Fronsee give him the thumb up. Stoneforge Mystic. That's a counterspell and a swamp. What that's not is a Force of Will. So Show and Tell will be resolving. We'll see what Bernal chooses to bring to class. Because I think we know what Fronsee's going to bring to class. Now, if he does have Gristlebrand, it's going to be great. But if he only has Emrakul, he could be maybe in a little trouble. We'll see.
Maybe he wants to put Stoneforge Mystic in play. Perhaps Back to Basics and pin down the City of Traders.
Hadn't considered that. It's a good thing you're here. You see every angle.
Every angle.
Had I be left to my own devices, who knows what would happen. 2 cards going back. Brainstorm going to resolve. We're bringing things to class. Fronsee has to decide which one he wants to bring to class.
Yeah, I mean, he's wondering if there's anything that Joe can do about Emrakul.
You have Caracas in his deck?
No Caracas, but
and Jace isn't out. Detention Sphere's now. This could be dangerous.
Mm-hmm. I think if Adam had gone for Grizzlebrand, that it's unlikely, even if Joe gets out of this turn, or even if he has some way to answer the Grizzlebrand, Adam gets to draw so many cards that it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
This
This is risky.
Yeah, this is some risky business. There are a lot of scenarios here where he just wins the game, but I think he's putting himself at some unnecessary risk.
Well, we're going to see how it plays out for him. Fronsee, the 15-15 Annihilator in play.
He has Supreme Verdict in his hand.
Yeah, I guess. Does he? Yeah. Does he have the 4th land?
Yeah, I think he has a Plains as well.
And you can't counter Supreme Verdict. I don't know if
No.
you knew that. Oh, he
Oh,
does
no,
have
he
the
did
4th
not. I
land.
thought
That
it-
is going to
thought
do
it
it.
was a
So,
Plains.
Fronsee, man, taking a big risk there. Works out
Yep.
for him. Does win game number 1 here at Sneak and Show over Bernal, thanks to Emrakul the Aeon's Torn, as we're going to bring it back here to the booth, where you are going to explain the rules, and I'm going to answer the question. I'm going to ask the question.
Cedric is going to ask every one of you out there a trivia question. You will tweet that answer at SCG Live and hashtag SCG Premium. Among the correct answers, one will be chosen at random, and that person will receive 6 free months of StarCityGames.com premium content.
Within Mr. Fronsee's sideboard, there are a couple of creatures. There's a 2 of and a 1 of. The 2 of, I'll give you a hint. It's Ashen Rider. There's your hint. However, what is the 1 of black creature in Fronsee's sideboard? One that you don't see very often in the sideboard of Sneak and Show. If you can name that, hashtag the answer, SCG Premium. Make sure you're following at SCG Live. And we will announce the winner at the conclusion of our semifinal round. This is going to be a tough one for people.
This is a fun of.
Yeah.
This isn't a one of.
That
this
is
a
definitely
fun
a
of.
fun of. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not a one of. So we're going to bring it back to the booth here momentarily. Joe Bernal, I guess it doesn't matter that he's the 1 seed. Just keeps losing game 1.
Right. And not surprising for him to lose the
Yeah,
first game
not
there.
at
He's
all.
drawing pretty slim, it feels like, to a good Sneak and Show draw in the first game.
Yeah.
Post board, he gets a lot of action. He gets 2 copies of Meddling Mage, 2 copies of Flusterstorm, 4 copies of Thoughtseize, a sort of piece of habit to replace some other equipment in his deck, a Pithy Needle with which he can name Sneak Attack, a Misdirection is another kind of counter spell. So he's got a lot he can bring in.
On the other side, how do we feel?
Well, we haven't seen the Jace the Mind Sculptor plan in a while out of Sneak and Show list. We used to see this a little bit with Reanimator, where against removal heavy, discard oriented decks, or just decks with a lot of combo hate to try to outgrind and normalize the games a little bit here. So I wouldn't be surprised to see that. I wouldn't be surprised to see bringing in his copies of Through the Breach, as he knows that Sneak Attack is a little bit less reliable because of Pithy Needle, that Joe's just bringing in Meddling Mage, which can answer Sneak Attack and Show and Tell. I think he'll definitely want the Pyroblast as well. And that should about do it.
Those are just about the options that are available.
Yeah, obviously Blood Moon rather, not at its best against Joe's back to basics fueled list.
Yeah. So we'll see what's going to happen here between the 2 players. Looks like Fronsee's ready to go. We'll see, though. Again, our other match, we might have time for that if this last game was any indication, between Thomas Graves playing Reanimator and James Baker playing more traditional Esper Stoneblade. We do have 2 fair decks, 2 versions of Esper Stoneblade, 2 unfair decks, Reanimator and Sneak and Show. See who's going to take it down, the fair or the unfair.
Yeah, now the real question is, even if Joe gets out of this game, does he have enough hate and disruption to win a game on the draw? Of course, the Sneak and Show deck is reasonably high variance. It gets a lot of opening hands that can't win the game that quickly, but Joe's going to be under the gun. He's probably going to have to mulligan fairly aggressively to find Thoughtseize and or Meddling Mage.
Hey, he's just got to get some interaction early and often. Now, to be fair, Fronsee's hand was great that game, going off on turn number 2. However, Joe wants to interact early and wants to interact often. That's the way for him to win this match. Don't just let Sneak and Show just goldfish around and cast Ponders and Preordains and Brainstorms and get ready to win on that big turn. That's the worst case scenario.
And, as lopsided as the game appeared, Joe was a land away from actually just casting Supreme Verdict and maybe being in the clear.
Yeah, we have a very different game there if he top decks a land. Now, of course, it does have to be a white source, but again, if he does draw a land, it's a wildly different one. I agree with you. And of course, when we do have updates on our other match, we will let you guys know. I think if it does go long, it's in favor of the old Esper Blade deck. So I know that Esper Blade is actually a pretty difficult matchup for Reanimator. It depends on, of course, the configuration of Esper Blade. But if they do have Caracas and some other toys to work with, it is pretty tough, actually, for Graves to win. And there is one Caracas over there in Team Space.
And the density, this Esper Blade list has 4 main deck copies of Thoughtseize.
Yeah.
So definitely gunning to beat combo decks. In stark contrast to Joe's list, which is geared towards beating fair decks in the mirror match, I would suppose.
Again, just feels like a long time since we've seen a Sneak and Show. But I guess after the domination of Sneak and Show at the Invitational in Indianapolis, the back end of last year, and then, Jared Betcher losing the final to Owen Turtenwald, it seems like after that, we haven't really seen very much of it. It doesn't feel like we saw any of it at the Invitational in Vegas.
Yeah.
It just didn't feel like it had that presence where at the Invitational in Indy, we had Jerry, Brad, Todd, Huey, BBD, just like all these people are just like, I'm just playing the best deck. I'm sneaking showing. And Jerry's, someone who always plays Charlotte's Bug. And then when he makes the switch, it's like, all right, guess we should probably be playing this deck.
And Joe draws up a very good opening hand here, including Thoughtseize, Swan Song, Meddling Mage. I mean, a lot. This hand lays in stark contrast to the Lingering Souls, Swords to Plowshare, Stoneforge Mystic type hands he was drawing up in the first game.
The kids on the street call that a sneep.
A sneep.
That's a sneep there. It's
A sneep?
Yeah, snap keep.
Ah.
That's what they call it. We're old. Oh, there's a detention sphere in Joe's deck. I don't know if you knew that.
Kept in the detention sphere. Good to know.
Smart. Here's a Thoughtseize. Obviously, accidental there by Fronsee. We'll see if anything's issued, but clearly an accidental move there. As Thoughtseize will be targeting Adam, so we'll see the contents of hand. It's not quite Gataxian Probe, okay?
Well, Thoughtseize Meddling Mage also gets me going.
Fair enough.
That's fine, too.
The old 1-2 punch. You see Gataxian Probe in Fronsee's hand. Let's take a look at this hand here. You got a Brainstorm, you got a Spell Pierce, Pyroblast, a Ponder, Gataxian Probe, Volk, and Acidia Traders.
So not a bad hand, but it is missing a way to go off and something to go off with.
Well, that's what the cantrips are for.
Yep.
Protect himself a little bit of counter magic there. It's actually going to be kind of hard to figure out what to take with this Thoughtseize, I think, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's kind of an argument for all these cards, right? If you're going to follow up with Meddling Mage on the second turn. I mean, I think that he probably, I would imagine, would want to take he's going to take Pyroblast and try to just set up Meddling Mage to take one of the cantrips.
All right. Well, Fronsee does lose his one counter spell. Excuse me, his one hard counter. Does have a Spell Pierce in his hand. Bang. Probe. 18. Info. Fronsee's going to see a hand of Force of Will, Meddling Mage, Swan Song, Brainstorm, and Plains.
That's a lot to get through.
Yes, it is. I love how good Swan Song is in this matchup, too. Quite the card.
Adam writing all this down.
Unfortunately for him, he doesn't get to take one of those cards like Joe did.
No. But he gets to draw a new one, which is kind of like the,
Could be anything.
Could be anything. Better be really good. Joe's hand is stacked.
Draws a Scalding Tarn. Yeah, he's gonna need a gooder. He's gonna play the Tarn, sacrifice this. We'll see what he does search up. He's gonna go down to 17. And tie up the old ball game. So again, the contents in Fronsee's hand right now: Ponder, Spell Pierce, a Brainstorm, a Volcanic Island, and a City of Traders.
I'm assuming he's getting ready to Brainstorm here in response to the Meddling Mage. But if that was the plan, that I would have rather played the Volcanic Island, allowing you to shuffle away a potentially dead card that gets named with the Meddling Mage.
Might start with Ponder too. He hasn't passed the turn just yet, so he has 2 copies of Brainstorm in his hand right now.
Yeah, that's the problem, is that if he ponders, Joe's likely to name Brainstorm, and then 2 of them get trapped.
Yeah, sure. Here's the Brainstorm that you did mention. So hit 1, 2, and 3 cards coming. Gataxian Probe and Emrakul. Looks like a Swan Song on Fronsee's end.
Well, that's one piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, that's step 1 of many.
Yep.
And he will be put on a bit of a clock here by that Meddling Mage.
Remember, Force of Will and Swan Song is still in Joe's hand.
So let's see what Mr. Fronsee wants to do here. He's going to put in 1 back and Brainstorm. Looks like maybe Emrakul's going to go back. Looks like a Gataxian Probe's going to go back. So Brainstorm resolves. Now Meddling Mage resolves. See what Meddling Mage is going to name. Of course, we'll get confirmation from our spotter here, and it looks like Show and Tell is the name. So no 3-mana sorcery for Mr. Fronsee.
Not getting too fancy and trying to name a cantrip or something, just trying
Yeah.
to, use Swan Song and Force of Will to keep Sneak Attack from being a thing. Melee Mage on Show and Tell, lock up the outs.
And I like that, of course. Just name your best. Name the best card. Especially when you have an out to Sneak Attack with Swan Song, you can have a bit of a battle over that. I like that a lot.
Now, this is a pretty slow clock for as good as Joe's start is here, so he's probably not going to be able to fend off Adam for forever, even with that Meddling Mage. So I'm sure he would like to add some additional pressure here.
We're going to start by attacking for 2. Fronsee going to go down to 15. Let's see if Joe's got anything else to do on this turn.
Yeah, this is one of the places where his mana base is a little awkward. I'm sure he would love to ponder here, but because he has a Plains and not a Tundra, and he wants to hold up Swan Song, he instead just has to say go.
Could get a little bit bottlenecked.
I mean, he has a Brainstorm. He may just have to cast the Brainstorm at the end of the turn, even though it's not an ideal spot to do so. No fetch land and a pretty juicy hand, just because he's bottlenecked on blue mana a little bit.
So sacrificing the fetch land is Fronsee. Going to go get a basic island. Make sure that he's good against back to basics. Again, I think that's a card that Joe probably sideboards out, but you always just want to be careful. This looks like it might be an end of turn Brainstorm, and it is. So 1, 2, and 3 cards coming. See, an Ancient Tomb looks like a City of Traders and a Spell Pierce, so not the best Brainstorm. I don't think it's a fetch land either, so he might be get a little locked here.
Yeah. I don't know if he has a Ponder or
Yeah.
anything else to shuffle, but he might be a little bottlenecked here.
And right now, you're kind of looking for Sneak Attack, but you're also looking to play Sneak Attack and have a bunch of protection, of course, because you know about Force of Will and Swan Song. So Fronsee does put 2 back, takes a draw step. Cataxian Probe, he's deciding if he does want to use that or not. Don't know if it's the right moment.
I mean, he knows the top part of his deck here, so he knows that the cantrip helps him this turn. And ideally, he wants to wait as long as possible to have information the turn he's going to go off, or would like to go off, if he's able to or not.
So an untap, a draw. Stone Forest Mystic for Bernal. Just going to attack for 2.
Not willing to Brainstorm yet, hoping to just find a fetch land. Joe here could really use a second source of blue mana.
Yeah, that'd be a really, really big deal for him. Because he wants to make it so that he has Swan Song and Force of Will up at all times. But now he's going to put the shields down.
I mean, I like this play from Joe insofar as, he has to apply more pressure, I believe, than just that Meddling Mage that's in play. But, the shields are down. Something really disastrous could happen.
Well, we'll find out when Fronsee draws. Well, I guess we know the top card of Fronsee's deck, so.
But there is a Cataxian Probe.
That's true. But he can't cast Show and Tell. So it would have to be Sneak Attack.
Or Through the Breach if you brought that in.
Yeah, that's true. Forgot about that one. He's gonna need a certain set of cards to find here.
Even just resolving Jace would be mighty fine here.
Yeah, that's true. So he's gonna hard cast Cataxian Probe. Info time. See 2 Brainstorms. This is a pretty good hand. Sword, Swan Song, Ponder, Force of Will. Joe doing pretty good. Gonna take a draw, Will Fronsee. Lotus Petal. This is an Ancient Tomb. Yeah, we might see a bit of maybe a bluff or something of that nature to act like he has Sneak Attack but not ready to cast it. Pass the turn back. Brainstorm the draw here for Joe, so 3 of those in the grip. Question is, does he want to try to cast Brainstorm to find another land? Does he just want to leave up Stoneforge Mystic to put the sword into play to apply pressure that way? He's choked on mana, but he's got a lot of good cards.
Yeah, the thing is that Adam has a lot of dead cards in his hand. So hitting him with the sword, I mean, it's an extra 2 damage that matters. Maybe it allows him to ponder and do something else, but the sword doesn't really, the discard from the sword doesn't really matter a ton right now. Being able to cast an additional cantrip is nice, but You see Joe not getting too hung up on trying to get that sword into play.
It looks like a 4-turn clock now. Fronsee going to go down to 9, so now it's a 3-turn clock. Show and tell looks like it was the draw this turn. There's City Traders, pass the turn back. So next land he plays, City Traders going to bite the dust. And now he's got free reign to cast a Brainstorm. Now I think this might be worth fighting over.
Sure. I mean, the thing is, he may want to just save that Spell Pierce to actually try to go off with.
Okay.
Since Joe is so bottlenecked on mana.
Oh, Brainstorm. Oh, there's a Flusterstorm, a Counterspell, and ooh, Thought Seeds.
And that was not the additional blue source of mana that Joe was looking for.
Yes. He needed a blue land, preferably a fetch land there, quite badly.
So he's back into back to one spell a turn land here, and this is again the place where that basic plains is really hurting him here. He, for example, if that was a Tundra, could be Thought Seizing and holding up Swan Song this turn.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, he has to choose between one or the other.
All right, so he's going to put some cards back, untap his creatures, take a draw. There's Brainstorm. Here's an attack, maybe. So let's see, if he attacks the Meddling Mage, leaves Stoneforge Mystic up. Fronsee goes on a 7, puts Sword in, equips Sword. That makes it still 3-turn clock.
Yeah.
Don't know how much Sword does for you, though. Especially when you know the card's coming. It's tough. He's just going to attack with just this. Going to put Fronsee down to 7. Fronsee can still escape from this game in a big way.
Yeah, no, and that's what I'm saying. As good as Joe's start was, he had Force of Will, Swan Song, Meddling Mage, Thoughtseize. You don't have all day.
Mm-hmm.
You need additional pressure to turn that draw from a good one into an excellent one.
Yeah, Fronsee rolls off a sneak attack here. We're looking at a wildly different game. He's got some spell pierces to protect himself through these counter spells. This could be different. This could be much different. Game. You see, Bernal has a discard now. He's going to discard the card counter spell since he can't cast it. Fronsee going to draw a card. That is a Force of Will. That's not going to do it.
Although, if he does find the last piece of the puzzle, that could be very valuable.
Yeah. So Sword's going to come in via the Mystic. Bernal's going to untap. He's going to take a draw. Brainstorm. Time to equip. Put on the Stoneforge. Attack for 5. Put Fronsee down to 2. Now that's super important because that Ancient Tomb. He's going to discuss. I don't need this. Which may or may not be true. We'll see. Because if he draws a Red Blast.
Yep.
Different game. And it's a Sweat. And it's a Through the Breach.
Okay. Well.
2, 3, 4, 5. God, that playing this the way that Joe did, because if he had played it the other way of just attacking from 9 to 6, 6 to 3, 3 to 0, it's a different game. But because it was going to be a 3-turn clock anyway, but now the fact that he played it this way, I don't think that he can cast Through the Breach and actually be effective.
So we're about to find out.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's got no choice.
mm-hmm.
So Through the Breach is going to be placed onto the stack here by Fronsee. Imagine if he could use that Ancient Tomb. Here is Force of Will. Removing Brainstorm. I think the big thing here, I think Joe has a Flusterstorm in his grip.
Yeah, he's just trying to build up a big counter war where Flusterstorm covers everything else.
So we're going to add some mana here. Going to cast Swan Song. That's a smart play because that's kind of free. So here's Flusterstorm. So the count is 4 by my count. Yep, that's going to do it. Flusterstorm wins the counter war as it often does, and Joe Bernal is going to tie this one up between him and Adam Fronsee. Jesper Stone played, moving on to a third and final one.
Really impressive sequencing, like you just mentioned there from Joe.
Yeah, the fact that he goes from the fact that he took, instead of going 9 to 6 to 3, he went from 9 to 7, 7 to 2, 2 to what would be lethal was very, very important there.
Yeah, and especially since Flusterstorm was involved in the equation. I mean, the amount of mana total that M has access to on the last turn is a big deal.
Yes. Very, very nice play there from Bernal. And it may have seemed at the start that sword does not really add up, but that extra point of damage that is dealt does actually win Bernal that game. And Again, we're going to find out what's going on in the other match as well, if we can get an update to see what's going on over there between, of course, Thomas Graves playing Reanimator and James Baker playing Esper Stoneblade. We will definitely let you guys know. But right here, we've got it all tied up between Joe Bernal and Adam Fronsee.
And now we're going to see if Joe can actually handle. I mean, again, for as good as Joe's opening was that game, all the tools, it's possible even on the draw that might not be enough.
Yeah, it's a big deal that Adam Brooks serve too, because he gets to play first. He could have some sort of nutty draw. You know what Sneak and Show's capable of at this point. So being on the play is really a big deal. As we do find out that Thomas Graves with Reanimator up a game against Esper Stoneblade.
Sneak and Show is one of those vaunted potential turn one kill or effective kill with force of will backup type of decks. Its best draws are out of this world. And I don't care what you say your combo matchup is like. The first turn when you're on the draw, you are always sweating bullets.
Yes. No matter what you say, I agree with you. You are always terrified of what can happen to you, which you can just die. We saw a turn till kill basically from Fronsee in the second game, or excuse me, in the first game.
So it looks like Fronsee went into much more of a counterspell package there.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a chance that because he's back on the play, he changes things up now and tries to use the fact that he's on the play as an advantage and just tries to power through Joe's stuff, his discard, just try to kill you early and things of that nature. We'll see.
Yeah. I'm curious to see if Adam did some just general diversification of his card choices because of Meddling Mage.
That's legitimate. Quick update. We had something bad must have happened.
Something bad must have happened.
Tommy Graves is on to the finals, my friends. We got the first update. Now we got the second one. Reanimator into the finals.
Yeah, we have our headset where our director and producers can communicate to us. And we got, Tommy Graves wins game one, and then 45 seconds later.
Yeah, Tommy Graves wins game two. He's not messing around. So he'll be into the finals, playing the winner of this match between Bernal and Fronsee. I think of the two, boy, he wants to play against Joe Bernal. That's what I think. But
I wouldn't mind seeing some fireworks, though. I don't mind a combo finals.
Not me either. Gets us to dinner quick.
Yep. I've been commentating on match tournaments 26 hours in the last 48. I don't mind a Charbel Tremere in the finals, I gotta say.
I'm sure hoping that Max and Irmis is still open.
Gets me the right way.
Yeah.
And that's no slight to anyone, If Joe wins that tournament, that's great
fine.
too.
Yeah.
That's great too. I'm just saying, I'm not opposed.
All we're saying is, we know what it's like to be the last people in the restaurant. That's all. Are you guys still open? Restaurants close. But we'll see what happens here between Fronsee and Bernal, all kidding aside.
Some of you behind Joe there, on the right of the screen in the background, may recognize Feline Lawnmower, who is a big-time Legacy player.
High Tide aficionado.
Legacy Open champion in Seattle.
Yeah, we were there.
And she and I were talking, and she said that she plans on traveling to numerous events.
Very awesome. Very awesome. See, Fronsee takes the mulligan very, very quickly. Looks like Bernal's happy with his hand. One of the nice things, he's Joe.
He said, I keep, and then said, I think. And then said,
just says, okay, never mind. I'm going to go 6 like you.
Joe is, he's very disciplined at the table. He's kind of hard to read, but in some of those moments, he's not trying to trick you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honest mage.
When he was looking, when he saw him look at that ponder on turn one in the top 8, looking at 2 Lingering Souls and I believe it was a Supreme Verdict.
Yeah,
it's not clear how the game's really going to play out.
Yeah.
He did a, raised eyebrow, sort of incredulous look at it before it decided to keep.
Am I supposed to take these cards?
He wasn't messing around. That one was borderline.
Yeah. Where's his motions on his sleeve? I can dig it. Makes for good TV. So we're going to see a mulligan here between both players. Both going down 6. We'll see if they'll stop there or not. Again, Bernal from the Chicago area. Fronsee, actually, I grew up playing Magic with him. A lot of back history there. He used to take me to the local store because he could drive and I couldn't. So it's always good to see a local friend here into the top 4.
Yeah, it is. As you and I do these travels, it's nice to come back to some of our old stomping grounds.
Yeah, I run into people all the time. I have a lot of people who I played with in high school were at this tournament. It was a lot of fun. I always love coming back to Ohio, especially in Columbus, because we've all played states and regionals here together when we were young, going to the local store in Strongsville. So Haven't seen Adam for what feels like forever. But glad to see him having a nice weekend here. We'll see who's going to win this third game. See, Joe's got lands this time. Oh boy, that hand does not look
Four
good.
lands, Stoneforge Mystic, and
X. I don't know what X is. Fronsee's got 2 Force of Wills and a couple of lands, it looks like, but Joe's hand is not good given the matchup. I don't know if he's got to risk it. To be fair, Fronsee's hand isn't that good either.
5 lands in Stoneforge Mystic?
Oh boy. I think both players look at their hands saying, I don't think.
Okay.
They both went back so fast. Yeah, I think Fronsee had double Force Will, Gataxian Probe. I think like a land, but I think it was the City of Traders. His hand was not very good either.
Yeah. The Sneak and Show, one of the weaknesses of this deck in my mind, it gets a lot of hands where you're missing some piece of the puzzle and you just have to cross your fingers.
Yeah, I mean, some of the hands really are non-functional. The scary thing, and I've seen this happen before, I think I watched Will Craddock do this, just on Mulligan to 5. Yeah, it can still just do it on turn 1.
Oh, yeah. No, you still have those openings for sure.
Yeah, and if like you have it, I think you just gun it, when your opponent's on a Mulligan to 5 too.
Sure. How much room do you have to assemble your hand? And of course, every turn that goes by is another opportunity for Joe to find a Thoughtseize, a Meddling Mage, another counterspell.
Yeah.
Turn 0 is effectively your best turn to go for it if you can, because a lot of Joe's reactive elements naturally cost at least 1 mana. So it's Force of Will or bust, and Joe's on 5 cards. I think there's no question you would go for it if the opportunity presented itself.
Tommy Graves waits in the wings. Reanimator, Gristlebrand's, Iona, Elish Norn, Tidespout Tyrant. Those are the 7 threats that are ready to go to work here.
And not to look forward too much here, but if Joe's able to win this tournament going through Sneak and Show and Reanimator as his last 2 matches, when his deck is very clearly not tuned to be those kind of decks, it would be quite the accomplishment.
Worthy of his #1 seed here in the elimination rounds. Don't forget as well, we still do have a full year premium to give away in the finals. We've also got to announce our winner for the 6 months too in the semifinals. But we'll do that after these 2 players are finished mulliganing, apparently.
Both on 5.
See, Joe. Stoneforge Mystic was the last one. I don't know if that's what he was looking for.
Yeah, it certainly could. I suspect that Stoneforge Mystic couldn't have made his hand any better.
France's got a couple lands. He's going to play a Misty Rainforest. You see Joe does have a Meddling Mage in the grip. Flusterstorm, too. There's an island. Maybe. He says, yeah, I get a basic. Ponder's a good place to start on Mulligan. Now, I'm not sure if that card in his hand is Pyroclasm or if it's Sneak Attack.
I believe it is a Pyroclasm.
I think it is, too. So there's a Ponder. 1, 2, 3. Looks like his hand. I think he's got a Gristlebrand over there, too.
Joe furiously shuffling here. I believe that he has a really good 5-card hand that's just missing blue mana. It's a Stoneforge, a Flusterstorm, a Meddling Mage, and a Brainstorm.
Hiya! Stoneforge, Plains, pass. Through the breach for Fronsee. Okay, you missed. Take a draw. Misty, passed. Counterspell, pass. Might have to discard, maybe. There's this. All right, Flooded Strand lets him play.
Just in the nick of time, I feel like.
Underground Sea. Yeah, I agree with you just in the nick of time. I think it had maybe be that turn. See if Joe wants to lead off Meddling Mage or a Thoughtseize.
And this basic Plains has really been haunting him so far in these games.
He's going to go with Stoneforge.
He might be just trying to get a fast black-green sword here under the assumption that Adam can't go off. And Adam on 5 cards actually is, the sword can actually be very good this game with the discard.
I'm saying right now he's got Force of Will, he's got Through the Breach, Pyroclasm, and I believe a Gristlebrand. I think the only thing he's looking for is a 5th land. We'll see, though. Take a draw. Misdirection. Ooh. That may have been the worst one that he could draw. What does Joe draw there?
A Notion Thief.
Okay.
Wants to get him.
Yeah, Griselbrand blowouts, as it were. That's respectable. Discard Stoneforge, take a draw. Show and Tell. Might be time to move.
Mm-hmm. But Joe's setting up a pretty good spot here insofar as he's able to react with his Flusterstorm in the event that Adam goes for something. And if he doesn't, then he can get the sword into play. And if he ever draws a second blue source of mana, I think it's become much easier.
I wonder if he's going to go for it. Or if he's just going to cast Pyroclasm. Pyroclasm is really appealing to me right now. He's going for it. It's time to cast Flusterstorm, I think. Yep. Does Fronsee have a blue card to go with that Force of Will? He has a misdirection. So what he can do, because Flusterstorm is for 2, he can pay for the 1 with Scalding Tarn, counter the other one with Force of Will.
Well, it's for... Yeah, he can
That's for
pay,
two,
yeah.
Storm is 1
Right.
from Show and Tell. And then he can pay. So he can pay with the Scalding Tarn and then Force of Will the other one. Well, what's going to happen here? So this is misdirection. So it looks like Flusterstorm is going to target
I mean, maybe he's misdirecting one Flusterstorm copy to the other.
misdirection, yeah.
Or to the other Flusterstorm.
Okay.
Exciting stuff here.
We can actually hear Joe laughing over there. Now that Notion Thief, we were thinking we want to get him. Well, if Joe has a sword, he does get him.
Yeah.
Okay. So we move along now. Island. Brainstorm, he's looking for swords, gotta be. And Fronsee can't draw cards, right? With Griselbrand?
Not currently.
Yeah, he can't draw cards.
He can damage raise. Oh, there's a
Detention
Detention Sphere.
He can't cast it yet, though. Wow. I was wondering why the Notion Thief came in. I thought that was a little crazy. It actually makes sense now.
But we also know that the last card in
We know it.
in Adam's hand is a Pyroclasm.
You know what that card
It might
is.
get a little messy. I'm curious right now, there is something very tempting from Joe's side about playing Meddling Mage and trying to shut some sort of door. And if he does that, it doesn't name Pyroclasm, then it is an enormous beating.
If you can you imagine him naming Pyroclasm right now? I would be he put Meddling Mage back. I would
Well, he could be thought seizing this turn, right?
That's true. I think he's going to.
Yeah.
Thought seize you. There goes Pyroclasm. Shows him through the breach.
Joe's got to be stoked with that one.
All right, so if an opponent would draw a card except for the first one he or she draws in each of his or her draw steps, instead that player skips that draw and you draw a card. So this thing just trumps Griselbrand. Just straight up?
Yeah.
That is awesome. Good, man. Good.
And that, I
thoughts.
believe, is the only Pyroclasm in Adam's sideboard, too.
Yep, just the one.
He does have a Pyroblast.
Now would be a good time.
This would be a really good time to draw that Pyroblast. If you're Adam.
Take a draw. Mystery card coming. Attack. Oh, no! Oh, no!
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, my God.
I like that target. I like choosing that as the target.
Oh, my God. Are you kidding me?
That's the one. That's the one Pyroclasm. That's the one pyro.
That's the one Plasma and the one blast. Off the top, all Bernal can do is shrug his shoulders. It's going to resolve. I'm going to activate Griselbrand now.
Yeah, I mean, a small operations thing, Adam probably should have tried this before combat, as he might actually be able to win the game this turn.
Sure. I understand.
This is still a disaster for Joe, who set this game up as
yeah, he's just going to see what a draw by Adam Fronsee, and he's moving on to the finals. The play against Tommy Graves.
Thumbs up to you too, man.
With the thumbs up to the camera. Unbelievable top deck. Sneak and Show versus Reanimator in the finals. Are you kidding me?